Hi, Elizabeth and Tim. This is Manny Marino with Do Wood Sun out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Um, I am going to spend the next few minutes on this video kind of walking you through the entire chair, the assembly steps. I'll talk to you about kind of the process, the laser engraving, the stain, the maintenance, and just overall, just kind of walk through on how to assemble this entire chair. So, first thing is first, thank you so much for the purchase of this chair. It was fun. The Ohio State is great. I'll start with that. So, a couple of talking points is that the Ohio State is completely laser engraved. I use all redwood cedar, and what I did with the state of Ohio, it's inlaid. So, meaning that the shape of the state is cut from the same vertical boards and put back together like a puzzle. Pretty easy, pretty basic. That's why you'll have two braces in the back holding it together. So when you get the back, it's all completely one piece. So you're definitely not putting it together. But there's two braces in the back, and that's obviously because there's a cut um, on the seam of the bottom of the chair here. So that's why we're bracing it. There's extra support going across. Anyway, so that's Ohio State. This is stained in a red, Sedona red. So stain is great on redwood cedar, which is perfect. So if you leave it outside or in the sun, water will repel right off. It repels heat as well, so it can be sitting in the hot sun all day, and you could sit in it. That's the nice thing about using cedar for outdoor furniture. I do recommend maybe once a year getting the same Sedona red stain, and if you want to go over it, that's fine. The rest of the chair is in a golden pecan. So I will send you pictures in a text message later on, just reminding you again of the color stains. So Sedona red and golden pecan for the rest of the chair. Tim Peterson, of course, number 28. Engraved in the front, left natural. So again, that's what's so much fun for me in making these chairs, because all of these are custom made to order. And so I had fun just kind of knowing a little bit about you, Tim, playing lacrosse for Ohio State, and you were number 28. So I thought that was a nice touch to put that in the front of the chair. With the assembly of the chair, of course, I'm going to pause the video in a little bit and take it completely apart. Um, the first thing that you're going to assemble is the seat, right? So a couple of things you're going to look for underneath. I'm going to label everything, starting with the seat slats 1 through 7. If you're looking at the chair, I'll always reference it from right to left looking at the chair. Everything is going to be labeled 1 through 7 on the bottom, and then the arms, front and back, right and left, okay? And then, of course, the 2x6 that it holds, that's the frame of the seat, right and left as well. So just look for those. What I want you to do is, when you are laying this flat on a flat surface, you're going to start with number 1 and walk your way all the way back. All of these are countersunk, and I use coated Torx screws, which it's in the hardware kit. Speaking of what you're going to need is a 9/16 socket. For the lag bolts, you're going to need a rubber mallet. I have wood plugs for the holes that we're filling in, and of course all the hardware and a couple of business cards in the front, or in the bag. So the seat goes first, right? First thing is first, 1 through 7. As I mentioned before, everything is countersunk. So the reason I want you, even though these are all the same size, I actually want you to use the same sequence, because I want you to make sure that we're using the same holes that are already pre-drilled. Okay, so that'll make things easy. 1 through 7. Then the first thing that goes on then after your seat is done is your arms, right? So your front arms, and that comes with the arm support. All of this is intact. Right to left, lag bolts go outside in on both sides, and then on the back, here's a side profile. The back legs are going to have that angle on the back, right? And the back legs go on the inside of the leg with the lag bolt outside in. One thing to point out, this board right here, which is the back brace, right, that gets screwed into the back of the back, This is the only small piece. Everything else is 24 inches. This is 21 inches. All right. And one of the things that I want you to kind of be mindful of is when you're screwing this in between the right and left back legs, leave about a quarter of an inch low, or I mean, not all the way to the top of the top leg, if that makes sense. Because if you do, that corner is going to bump up this back arm and it's not going to be even. So we want to make sure that you do that. Again, just look for the markings. You can't see it in this video, but I actually have very light pencil mark of where this should align here. And of course, if you, again, all of these holes are pre-drilled, so just follow and go into the same hole. As far as the back, I think I mentioned this already, but the lag bolts go from outside in always, and it goes lag nut, or the lag bolt, washer, log nut, nut. All right, 9/16, always outside in. The back legs are on the inside, front legs are on the outside. That's your second step after the seat, right? One thing to point out with the base, it's a 2x6. The 2x6 is also spaced out by a 2x6 in the back, right? There's a 1-inch gap on purpose because I call this the tail of the chair that slips right in. So when you start from the front, when you're putting your seat slats and you go 1 through 7, obviously it's going to end here. And then before you look for these pilot holes for the spacer in the back, the 2x6 spacer, there's going to leave that gap. The tail goes in there. So your seat, your front legs, your back legs, and the next thing that I like you to do, right, is put your arms, right? It's easiest to screw in the back arm first. These are countersunk, actually on both sides, just to relieve any kind of torque and pressure on the back. So doesn't stand any chance of splitting. So just flush it to the top. And then the last piece that goes on is your back that's all intact. So that's pretty much the assembly process of how to assemble my chairs. Pretty straightforward, basic, but I think once you watch this video a few times, you get the gist of the assembly piece. It's pretty basic, I think, and that's how the chair is assembled. The tools that are in the bag, you're going to get the drill bit, right? It's a torque bit. And you're going to get wood plugs. Now, this is more of an aesthetic thing, but I have these flush to the top. Normally, if you want, you could leave them like that. It looks pretty nice, right? It matches the entire hardware like what I've been using. But otherwise, if you wanted to, just sink it as far as you can and then use the wood plugs afterwards if you want that look. Otherwise, you don't have to. Oh, and then in the back too, I'll have extra plugs. So after you screw these in, I have wood plugs. And I want you to cover those on each side. So there's a total of 8 plugs, 2 on each arm. So that's 4, and then 2 on each side on the back. That's the wood plugs. Every single screw that you're getting is a 2-inch Torx screw. All right, and that will always take the seat. Takes 2 inches, and if I tip it over. This is the underneath and the tail of the bottom of the tail. There's going to be 4 screws that also take 4 fork screws underneath, and that is to keep the overtime from shifting, so it'll keep it nice and steady and tight. And then in the back too, I believe, in the back, these are 1 1.25 inch screws. So all the screws that hold the chair are 2 inches, and then the smaller ones are the 2.5, and there's going to be a total of 8 of them that goes from the back brace to the back of the chair. I also stain the entire back in that cherry. It's really tough to see in the video because of the lighting, and I'm indoors. I decided to assemble this and take it apart in my living room. So anyway, that's pretty much the assembly of the chair. Let me know if you have any questions. Manny Marino at 612-423-1468. And please send me a picture when it finds its home and its final resting spot at your home. I would love to put that on social media. So again, thank you so much. I'm going to pause the video, take it apart, and put it in a box and get this on YouTube. And then I'll send you the shipping information here tomorrow morning. Thank you.